CNN Motorsports. Last week at the high banks of Salem, Tim Sauter grabbed his third victory of the season in the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. His momentum has pushed him within 18 points of the 18 car. Series leader Mike Miller. It's a long, hot summer of racing. It continues today. The ASA short track stars find themselves now on a big track, the lightning-fast Monster Mile of Dover Downs, where speed and treachery often meet. A hot and sunny better summer Sunday afternoon for motorsports than what we've got today here at Dover Downs. 26 ASA teams ready to get at it for the first time ever on the 1 mile surface here at Dover, Delaware. Lots of challenges, and the hot weather that's blanketed much of the country for the past 2 weeks will be among the challenges that these teams will face here today. Of course, it's a brand new racetrack for the ASA teams as well. It's been quite a challenging week as they prepared for this event. I'm going to call in our expert commentator on these broadcasts, my partner Jim Trado. Jim, these teams pointing toward this race all season long, but this isn't the first time ASA has come to what you would consider a super speedway.
In 32 years, this is the 57th new racetrack for the series. However, there's been at least a dozen races held at Michigan Speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and even track in Saint-Air, Quebec, Quebec, Canada. So the series has gone to super speedways before, the Milwaukee Mile, 33 visits there, but none compare to Dover and the high banks of the Monster Mile. And the teams really have put together a program to stiffen up their body work, to make sure the hood doesn't come down. They've done a lot of structural work to keep that body out where it should be and tucked in where it should be as well. A lot of teams have also gone to a heavy-duty radiator and closed off part of the grill work because aerodynamics play such a big key here. So we'll see a lot of teams changing things around, trying to stiffen their bodies up for this only time this year on a super speedway like Dover.
Unlike what we've seen the last 2 weeks at Anderson, a quarter mile, Salem, a half mile. This is a 1 mile, but very high bank. Let's bring in the former ASA champion, our expert analyst, Butch Miller. Butch, good to have you with us once again. You raced here at Dover before the concrete days. What kind of racetrack is this?
This is, as far as I know, it's the highest bank on a 1 mile track in the country. And back in '94, after the '94 season, it had so much banking they couldn't keep the asphalt on there, so they repaved it with cement and made the track surface very, very rough. Well, in order to fix that, last year they went and laser cut the cement, made it a very smooth surface. They only forgot one thing. Going into turn 3 and going into turn 1, there is a drop-off cliff. They forgot to remove it. It's still out there, and it is thrilling.
All the drivers we talked to this weekend are thrilled to be here at Dover Downs, but they do expect a very challenging 150 miles this afternoon. Brand new racetrack for this series, as we've told you, and that led to some interesting developments in qualifying, some unusual names toward the top of the speed charts. A couple of them in the second row, in fact. Let's head downstairs to Brian Drebber.
Guys, we just might be calling this the race of the raging rookies. Tristan Dupuis in the 11 car equaled his career best qualifying effort and put that car on the outside of row number 2. But inside on row number 2, Indiana Dennis Grossnickel and rookie driver Russ Tuttle bettered their career best of 5th and put the number 16 car, the Conseco Chevrolet, inside row number 2. They've been on a tear here lately. And Russ Tuttle, what has been the difference? You guys have had a couple of top 5 qualifying efforts here after struggling just to make the top 20 earlier on.
Well, Brian, it's just like anything else. When you're building a new team, you've got to start from the ground up and get good people around you. We've got a good crew chief and a lot of good guys on the team. And the Conseco Chevrolet Monte Carlo was awesome right off the hauler when we got here this weekend, and each time out we've got a little bit faster. I still think there's a little something left in the Conseco Monte Carlo for the race, and just like the hood said, Brian, Conseco, step up.
All right, now stepping up would be from a top 10 finish. You've had a couple of those to a top 5. Can you put her up there on the podium maybe?
Yeah, we ran in the top 5 at Nashville before transmission broke, so our finishes aren't showing how good we are, but this Conseco Chevrolet Monte Carlo will be up front at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure of it.
Good luck to you, Russ. Now, just behind Russ Tuttle in the number 5 spot is the man who's second in points right now, and of course the most recent winner, Tim Sauter, in the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet. But he's surrounded by rookies because outside of row number 3 is Eddie Hoffman in the number 5 Structural Transport Ford, and then just behind Tim Sauter with another career best qualifying effort, Tim Taylor in the number 28 car, the EMAS Chevrolet. But these guys all want to get up to where the front row is. We haven't talked about them yet, so let's go to Sandy Hang and do just that.
Well, we've talked a lot about the raging rookies. What about the seasoned veterans who are first-timers on this track? Points leader Mike Miller called his old buddy Dick Trickle, trying to get some intelligence about racing here at Dover. Well, you know what? He got some advice, but he said he just couldn't follow it. Didn't work for his car. Started from scratch. He's now on the outside front. But the pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson here, ready to go today. You know, you seem to like turning a fast lap here in ASA, don't you?
Yeah, you know, we've got a great car. We've had a great car all season long. The guys have been working real hard at Herzog Motorsports, and the support from Pennzoil has really paid off. It's going to be a little different philosophy here. We just want to find a nice, clean spot to run. The air plays some different games with these cars, unlike the Busch cars that I've driven on the bigger track. So I just want to find a nice, comfortable spot and see where we're at, and, you know, 30, 40 to go, and then start picking the pace up.
Well, we haven't even started the race, and you're already sweating the heat. It feels like 100-plus degrees right now down here on the starting grid. How big of a factor will heat be for you in this race?
I hope not. Been training hard and working hard at not letting the heat bother me, but, you know, being on a big track, we're not pulling much air in to blow on me, the driver of all things, so I think we'll be just fine, though. It's not that long of a race.
Okay, that's Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter.
Johnson among the drivers we expect to be up front for much of the day here at Dover Downs. Now, this is the 13th race of the 1999 ASA season, 7 to go, including today's event. Mike Miller, your point leader by 21 over Tim Sauter. Mike Garvey and Jimmy Johnson very much in the chase. Gary Sademont, the defending champion, he needs a win or a top 3 finish today to climb back into contention. Second 5 looks like this. Rick Beebe and Ricky Johnson with a chance. Dave Sensiba, Harold Fair, Jack Landis a little further out of contention. It would take some major turnarounds in their seasons for those drivers to get up into the hunt as we work toward the championship being determined late this year at Orange County Speedway in North Carolina. About set to get going here at Dover Downs for the Grease Lightning 150. Let's get the words that'll put us underway. Back downstairs to Brian Drebber.
No question about it, guys. We are set to get this thing going. And to do the honors will be Michelle Higdon, Marketing Director for A&M Cleaning Products, makers of Grease Lightning. Michelle, take it away.
On behalf of Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Cleaner and all of our fine retailers, gentlemen, start your engines.
Signal being given to fire them up. Drivers hitting those ignition buttons. We're about set to roll off at Dover Downs. We'll be back to show you the starting lineup for the Grease Lightning 150 in just a moment.
Welcome, race fans, to the AC-Delco Challenge Series Grease Lightning 150 at Dover Downs. Good afternoon. I'm Ken Alexander, driver of the 03 Grease Lightning Chevrolet and president of Grease Lightning. Please sit back and enjoy ASA racing on the fastest mile in motorsports. And remember, for your indoor and outdoor cleaning jobs, choose Grease Lightning Cleaner. Thank you for joining us this afternoon on TNN Motorsports.
Our TNN Motorsports coverage today of the Grease Lightning 150 is being brought to you by Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Degreaser and by Tecumseh Engines, power to do things right. And by AC-Delco Automotive Parts. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. Cars are on the speedway here at the Monster Mile. Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. Almost 100 degrees here. We're expecting cooler weather in this part of the country sometime in the middle of the week, but it'll be a few days too late for these drivers and teams. There's your official ASA pace car for 1999, the Pontiac Grand Prix with the lights flashing, and that is also the official safety car of Dover Downs here in Delaware. Take a look at the starting grid brought to you today by Grease Lightning. When speed counts, choose Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Cleaner. First row, Jimmy Johnson on the pole, a lap of more than 144.4 miles an hour, the Pennzoil Chevrolet. Alongside is Mike Miller from Georgia, the Janiking Pontiac. Your second row looks like this. We heard from Russ Tuttle, the Conseco Chevrolet from Indiana. Tristan Dupuis in the Go-Go Auto Parts Pontiac, and he is a rookie. Third row, Tim Sauter, last week's winner, the Build-A-Mold Chevrolet, and Eddie Hoffman, the Structural Transport Ford. That's the 5-car starting 6th. Your fourth row, the 28 of Tim Taylor. Good qualifying run for the youngster in the Chevrolet this week, the EMAS number 28. And Brandon Sperling, the Crookston Motorsports McDonald's Chevrolet, car number 40. Fifth row looks like this. Gary St. Amant, the series champion from 1998, the wins Chevrolet, and Derek Gilchrist, the Greased Lightning Chevrolet. He has 2 wins so far in the season. Row number 6, the 93 of Alec Pincinel, the Montplace Chevrolet from Canada, and Rick Beebe from Kansas in the 23 car, the Meyer Stores Pontiac. 7th row, Mike Garvey, the Tecumseh Chevrolet, and Freddie Bear, the Dura Builders Pontiac. That is the 94. Row number 8, Greg Stewart, the Keener Lumber Pontiac, the 33. Harold Fair from Detroit, the Diesel Repair Specialist Pontiac, the 81. Row number 9, Ken Alexander, we heard from him, the Greased Lightning Chevrolet, and Jack Landis, who's been quick many places this year in the Adirondack Ford. Your 10th row, Jack Smith, the Top Gun High Performance Chevrolet, the 04. And Ricky Johnson, new sponsorship on that Herzog Chevrolet, the National Auction Systems 22 car. The 11th row, Dave Sensiba, the Prestige Truck Accessories Pontiac, and Dave Doran in the Lista Pontiac, and car number 77, he's from Cincinnati. 12th row, David Anspaugh, the First Age Chevrolet, and David Steele, the USAC Open Wheel champion, his second ASA start, the Automotive Promotions Chevrolet, that's car number 4. 13th row, Billy Turner in the Profab Chevrolet, the 58, and Sam Gottwald in the Leon's Motor Machine Ford. And that will round out your starting lineup here today with Jimmy Price, the Quick Car 79, tagging the field. He'll start in the 27th spot. So 27 drivers ready to go. Jimmy Johnson pulling away from the field on the racetrack right now. Not sure what that is all about. And Russ Tuttle is down on the inner part of the racetrack, down on the apron, with perhaps a problem. Dave Doran on pit road with the hood up on the 77 car. So already some stories. Johnson's going to come to pit road. The pole sitter may not make the start. We'll see if we can find out what the situation is there. Remember, Johnson quick all weekend. Won the pole handily here yesterday and AC-Delco pole qualifying. But he has got to come to the attention of the Herzog crew, and they're going to go to work on the front wheels. His steering wheel not straight, we're told, so they're going to reset the steering box and move the wheel for Jimmy. And it's important at a racetrack like this, Butch. You want to make sure you've got it pointed in the right direction.
Well, you sure do. You get out there and you get that steering wheel in a certain position. You've got your push-to-talk button, which is on a certain spoke. You always want it to feel the same. But I've never seen anybody pull in the pits and do that. Usually they just pull over on the side of the racetrack somewhere and pull right back into their spot.
One thing Brian Robbins, the vice president of ASA, mentioned in the drivers' meeting is that this racetrack, because of the banking on the straightaways and the corners, there really is not a flat place unless you drive down pit lane to straighten the wheel.
1 mile oval here at Dover Downs. As we told you, 9 degrees of bank in the straightaways, 24 in the corners. Turns are 58 feet wide. This is 1 mile around, concrete all the way except for the apron. A little moment ago, you saw our purse today, nearly $215,000 for the 27 drivers who will take the green flag. Let's find out more about Jimmy Johnson's situation. Downstairs to Brian Drebber.
Well, here at Jimmy Johnson's pit, the crew is checking tire pressures, and the word is that because we had a race here just a little while ago, that they're trying to sort of readjust and make some last-minute changes here, and apparently they've been allowed to do so. So they're checking things out. They're just making sure, and of course they're trying to get their pit stalls ready. So it just seems to be a little bit of filibuster. Sandy Hang with more, maybe?
Down with Dave Doran. They've just now closing the hood of the car and getting it back out. They made an adjustment on the fuel system, had a little problem, sprayed a little WD-40 on near the carburetor and got her going again. So they're going to be watching this throughout the race.
So Doran down and away, and he will be able to start in the Lista Pontiac. We've got 4 different views for you of the race today from onboard cameras. Ricky Johnson will take us for a ride today in the Herzog Chevrolet. Now the National Auction Systems, Nationwide Auction Systems Chevrolet. Also, we'll be on board with Ken Alexander in the Greased Lightning Chevrolet. He'll line up in 17th spot today in the 03. We'll be taking you along for a spin as well in Mike Garvey's Tecumseh #1 car. I think Garvey's going to be very strong here. Could qualify only 13th, but motor problems in that car. They've got a new engine in that machine. And we'll be on board the Janet King Pontiac. Mike Miller, the veteran, with several wins on the season already. He will line up on the outside of the front row. He is your point leader. Russ Tuttle is back on pit road, scheduled to start 3rd in the 16 car. We'll try to find out more about the situation down there. The ASA, very safety conscious, coming here to Dover for the first time. They've given these teams an extra inch of spoiler height. The spoilers are 6 inches high instead of the normal 5. They raised the body height, the ride height a little bit on the cars, 1/4 of an inch, to allow the drivers to put a little more rake in, drop the fronts a little more for better aerodynamics and better stability on the racetrack. Jim, you talked about bracing the bodywork. That was done by just about all the teams before they came here. A lot of differences to setting up a car for a place like Dover.
And then you factor in the fact that a lot of teams, after qualifying, after last happy hour yesterday afternoon, started cutting the wheel well. They wanted to get more clearance for these bigger 26-pound wheels with inner liners on them. They had more clearance problems, so they had to cut away the wheel well. That may affect the aerodynamics, and that's another question mark as we get ready to go. Well, the first couple laps would be critical.
Looks like Russ Tuttle may not start up in his scheduled spot of third. We see Eddie Hoffman moving up to the inside of row 2. The safety car is in. Tuttle still on pit road, so it looks like he will not make the start. Now the safety car is going to stay back out. They've waved off the start this lap. Dan Spence had given them 1 to go, but the yellow is waving. They're going to give Tuttle an opportunity, it appears, to come back onto the racetrack and not lose a lap. The Pep Boys Indy Racing League ran the first half of the doubleheader here today, and that's resulted in a little bit of a scramble getting ready for the Grease Lightning 150. We'll come back for the start in a moment. Trouble for another contender here at Dover Downs before we take the green. Tim Sauter coasting around the racetrack with no power. Downstairs to Brian Drebber.
Well, guys, they went under the hood, and you could just see the collective air come out of this crew. The word is a broken timing belt, and of course, that definitely means that it's not going to be a quick start for these guys. If they're able to make a repair, it's going to take them a while.
Wow, tough break for last week's winner at Salem Speedway in Indiana. Sauter did a great job being very cautious, conservative to the last 75 laps, Jim, and last Saturday night he had it all figured out. Today, not what you'd want to see.
He had a very consistent run, and he was positive. He said the Salem setup is very similar to what they run here at Dover Downs. For a number of the teams, they're very close on their setups in the chassis.
So Sauter will not take the green, it appears, and now we see it looks like the lights are out on the Pontiac safety car, so we should be ready to go green this time by. 150 miles of racing here at Dover Downs. Glad to have you with us. First ever trip of the ASA to the White Lightning racetrack, they call it here, the Monster Mile. Safety car will dive in. Jimmy Johnson will control the field around to the start-finish line where Dan Spence has the green flag. Mike Miller on the outside of row 1. Tristan Dupuis alongside Russ Tuttle in row 2. Twin greens are in the air. We're underway at Dover. Johnson is your leader coming to complete lap 1. Mike Miller and Eddie Hoffman settle in second and third. Tristan Dupuis rides fourth. Fifth spot to the 40 car, Brandon Sperling. Garrett Gilchrist is sixth in the red and white 52, the Ken Schrader machine. Here's Eddie Hoffman to the inside of Miller for second. On board with Mike Miller as we watch Hoffman start to open up some real estate quickly in that Don Finetti Ford. Now Dupuis to the outside of Miller. Mike Miller seemingly off the pace here in the early going on the outside pole. Miller is backpedaling. Around him goes the 40 car of Sperling. Gilchrist and Rick Beebe go to the outside. Mike Miller is off the pace. Tim Taylor right there in the white 28 machine. Here comes St. Amand. Russ Tuttle, who started third, he backpedaled on the start, but now he's starting to crank it up. Troubles apparently for Mike Miller, the series point leader. All the way back in 8th and losing ground. St. Amand and Tuttle there with Freddie Bear. Now Alec Pinsino goes by the 18, so clearly Mike Miller is in trouble. Jimmy Johnson is your leader. We watch Miller come off turn 4.
And this car that Mike Miller's using is only the 9th time he's used it in 113 career starts in ASA since they changed the body and the chassis style over. This is the first time this car has seen green flag racing since Topeka in 1995 on the road course. So it could be more than just how the car's running. It's a car that's foreign to Mike Miller after so many times in a primary car.
Miller settling down in the low groove now. We'll try to find out what's going on with that machine out in front. The 44, Jimmy Johnson, and the 5 of Eddie Hoffman. Now, if you're with us back in May at Memphis Motorsports Park, 3/4 of a mile, the only other larger than half-mile track ASA has been to this year, Johnson was the winner. Hoffman was very fast. Two guys that are not intimidated by the size and the speed of this racetrack.
Eddie Hoffman started in the 6th position, was in 4th by turn 3 in the opening lap, and to see how he's charging through here, it's very impressive for the rookie who has never been at this racetrack.
Rick Beebe now and Tim Taylor doing battle 6th and 7th on the racetrack. Beebe not happy at all with the way he qualified the 23 car, but he has come up through there nicely. Beebe from 12th starting spot. Taylor, who was quick all weekend, he lined up 7th. He's sitting right where he started. But the Kansan Beebe is charging. takes a look. Down into one. Everybody away cleanly here at Dover Downs. Still the battle for 6th. Tim Taylor is 7th in the white car. The yellow car is Rick Beebe riding 6th. Gary St. Amant a little further back in 8th spot in the Black Winds Chevrolet, the number 7. Meantime, what's happening with Mike Miller? Still on the racetrack. Brian Drebber, you're standing by with Mike Scrucci.
Carl Hyland's first indication was that there was nothing wrong, but things are clearly not going exactly right when you start outside the front row and you're back as far as you are right now. Carl, what's up?
Well, the car kind of started out loose. We started with a little bit lower air pressure, Brian, and Mike said the car and the track's a little greasy. He just fell back, playing it safe. We'll wait. Just the car's going to come to us. No problem. We're just taking it easy from the start of the race. It's a long track. Don't have to worry about getting a lap behind. We'll be all right for the Wagner Fire Jet King Pontiac. We'll be there when it comes time for payday.
You got to love a man that's confident even when his driver's going back through the field.
Yes, you do. Now Miller has settled into 11th spot. Alec Pinsino right in front of him, 10th. Troubles under the hood for the 16 of Russ Tuttle at Conseco Chevrolet. Downstairs to Sandy Hang.
They're pulling him out right now. He had some wheel bearing grease that was on fire. They got him back and going.
So Tuttle's crew with quick service to the front end of the 16. Tough break for the Indiana native. Russ hoping for a really good run today. Strong in qualifying, starting 3rd here this afternoon, but that's the 2nd time he's been on pit road already. We put 11 laps on the board here at Dover Downs. There's your battle for the lead. Jimmy Johnson from the pole has led all the way so far. Eddie Hoffman in the 5 car, riding in his 2nd spot. He started 6th today, but you can tell Hoffman's been strong since the drop of the green.
And he's one of the teams that went with lighter weight brakes in the front. He said, I went with light rear brakes because we use brakes very little at this racetrack. He said it saves me about 4 pounds per corner. This team seems to have it figured out. A brand new Thunderbird nose on this structural transport Ford, and the team was pretty pumped before the race.
That's unsprung weight that you can save, and that is very, very important to the handling of a race car. Leaders off of turn 2. Johnson trying to hang in there with Hoffman challenging. Butch, noticing several races here at Dover, one of the best places to pass is going into the corners here.
Well, actually, that's where the best place to pass is coming off a corner, because a car tends to push out towards the wall, and you've got to have it hang right on the apron. Well, the guy that can keep it hanging on the apron will actually drive underneath the guy in front of him coming off the corner. That's usually the easiest place to pass.
Hoffman off of 2, taking a look on Johnson, cannot do it. Tough break. One of the drivers and also expecting a good run here today, the veteran Harold Fair. We understand the 81 car is done for the afternoon with a broken rear end, and we'll try to find out a little more about that situation as we go on. They've had a tough weekend. Harold had problems on Friday, broke a brake line, and had problems with the left front corner of the car during practice on Friday. They put it back together, qualified nicely, but he has had difficulty here in the early going at Dover Downs. Jimmy Johnson is your leader of the Pennzoil Chevrolet. Eddie Hoffman rides 2nd in the Structural Transport Ford. Then it's Tristan Dupuis and Brandon Sperling. Plenty more from Dover Downs in a moment. Welcome back to the Monster Mile. Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. The ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. First ever appearance here at White Lightning. Your leader is the 44, Jimmy Johnson. The 5 of Eddie Hoffman in 2nd. Lapping by one of the slower machines there. And then we'll show you what's going on a little further back. The fight for 3rd. Tristan Dupuis in the 11 is running in 3rd spot. Brandon Sperling in the 40. The McDonald's machine is 4th. Derek Gilchrist right with him there. Gilchrist in the 52 running 5th. Then it's Rick Beebe in 6th in the yellow 23 car. Tim Taylor is 7th in the white number 28. You see him back there, last car on your screen. The 1 of Mike Garvey. We were expecting a strong day from that car and driver today, but Tecumseh Chevrolet has apparently had problems just from the start.
The car does not sound like the engine's performing up to snuff. They had a problem in practice. Mike admitted he missed a shift in practice yesterday. They qualified the car 13th. They changed the motor and missed the afternoon practice session. Now he's gone down a lap and back to 22nd with the engine that was new to the car. Doesn't seem to be performing here at Dover.
Tristan Dupuis lapping by the Go-Go Auto Parts 11 car. Here comes Sperling in the 40 and Gilchrist in the 52. Haven't talked much about Derek Gilchrist so far, but Gilchrist is a guy who certainly likes new racetracks. His rookie year in ASA, 2 wins already at a couple of places he'd never seen before. One of those New River Valley in Virginia. Took a quick hop on board there with Garvey, and you could hear it did not sound that the engine was wound up to maximum RPM.
And this could be a huge day for Jimmy Johnson because Garvey's third in the points. Second in the points is Tim Sauter, who's off the racetrack, did not even start the event, and Mike Miller's back in 11th off song. So this could be a big day for Johnson, who's fourth in points. He could come out of here with the lead.
Talked about Sauter. They broke a drive belt on that car. Timing belt right off the get-go. Didn't even take the green. They're behind the wall in the garage, we would assume, trying to repair that to get the 9 car back on the racetrack. Sauter winning last week at Salem, getting him in contention for the championship this year. Dupuy, meantime, with a good run going, sitting third. He was very stout at Memphis as well.
Had a top 5 finish there, backed it up at Salem Speedway 1 week ago with a 5th place finish.
Battle for the lead down into 1. Hoffman around the outside of Jimmy Johnson this time to grab the first spot. So give Hoffman, the Illinois veteran, in his rookie ASA campaign, give him the point on lap 22. Hoffman is very, very fast. That car has shown plenty from the drop of the green today. Coming up on Greg Stewart's 33 car. Stewart a lap down. He is in 19th spot. Hoffman ahead by a couple of car lengths. 23 laps are complete at the Monster Mile on one hot racing afternoon. Back live at the Monster Mile, Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. The Grease Lightning 150 for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. A little high cloud cover has come in now, which could change the mix for these drivers quite a bit as we move along this afternoon. Coming up on 30 miles of 150, Eddie Hoffman is your leader in the black 5 car there. Right behind him in second, the pole sitter, Jimmy Johnson. Johnson starting to reel back in the leader now. So we're going to have a battle for the top spot in just a moment. Look at that, a whole straightaway and more. Back to the third place driver, the 11, Tristan Dupuy, the rookie from Michigan. The Go-Go Auto Parts Pontiac. He's opened up a little distance now on the 4th place machine, Brandon Sperling, the McDonald's Chevrolet. It's the red and black car you see right behind Dupuy. And Derek Gilchrist is back there in 5th, and Tim Taylor in 6th. So you've got 3rd through 6th pretty close together on the racetrack. The leaders, though, have pulled away by more than a straightaway.
We keep harking back to Memphis Motorsports Park in June, and actually Sperling finished on the podium there. Hoffman led 97 laps. Johnson led 30 laps. So the cars that ran well at Memphis, Tristan Dupuy on a top 5 run. Those guys are out running very well early on here.
Besides the fact that the 2 tracks are owned by the same corporate owner, Dover Downs Entertainment, the tracks aren't very similar. 3/4 of a mile at Memphis, more like Richmond, lower banked. This place, 24 degrees of banking and cement. So other than the length of the track, I wouldn't think there's a lot of similarity.
There's nothing. This is 2 complete different racetracks. And to tell you the truth, as far as running between one and the other, one of those tracks I love and one of them I hate. One's at the top of my list and one's at the bottom of my list.
But which is which?
Well, I'm not telling which is which.
Oh,
but
come on
they're both good places to watch races. They're not both necessarily good to race at.
Dupuy has his hands full. Battle for 3rd on the backstretch. Dupuy in the 11, the 94. Sperling, then the 52 car. Gilchrist in the 28 of Taylor. We said the 94, that's the 40 of Sperling. Looks so much like Bill Elliott's machine that the 94 in this series actually belongs to Freddie Bear. But there you see the McDonald's car riding in 4th.
That 4th car in line, Tim Taylor. It's been an awesome run for the EMAS Chevrolet because this team has a 12th place finish. And that's their high moment of the season. That came early on. They've had accident problems. They've had motor problems. At Anderson, he hit the wall so hard that I believe both front and rear hoops were bent to the point where he couldn't get them fixed by Salem. So this team has worked very hard on getting the Chevrolet prepared, and it's already paying off. If they go home today with something that may have happened later on in the event, maybe not a top 10 run, but right now that's going to make up for a lot of those hours they spent on the creepers under that car late at night.
Battling for 3rd down into turn 3. Taylor in the white 28 car is 4th in line there. He is 6th on the racetrack. Dupuy hanging on to 3rd spot. Driver who started 3rd has not made it off pit road as yet. Let's go downstairs to Sandy Hank.
Well, that's Russ Tuttle. He's now having a little bit of a delay. Looked like that grease was possibly a caliper going bad on the brake.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sandy, I can't really hear you, but yeah, we lost a right front brake caliper. It's a brand new race car, and it's a real shame. I mean, it's not in the crew or anybody at the Conseco team did. It's just a mechanical failure, and it's just very disappointing. A terrific race car all weekend. This Conseco Monte Carlo's been extremely fast. We had a gear problem when we started out here with the transmission. Had to start in 4th gear, but that was going to be okay. We're going to move back to the front. then this thing happened. They'll try to get it fixed. We'll get out and run some laps for some points. Keep this Conseco team up there in the top 20 in points.
They're sure trying hard to get it back out there right now, guys.
Tough afternoon for Russ Tuttle and his Conseco Chevrolet group. Still watching that battle for third. Tristan Dupuis in the yellow 11 car has the spot.
Watch this line that Tristan's taking through this corner. You see how I ran the car up high in the middle of the corner. He ducks it down low, makes for a tremendously long straightaway. Can carry a lot of speed down the backstretch.
Brandon Sperling in the 40 car, the McDonald's machine, trying to close in, make a move for third. Hasn't been able to get very close at all, though, at this point. Derek Gilchrist just kind of watching things back there in fifth spot in the 52. Dupuis pushes up high on the exit there to turn 2.
That's the groove he likes. That's a really fast groove for him, and he's always liked cars a little bit on the free or loose side. And this is the kind of track you want a loose race car. If you've got any kind of a push here, you're in trouble.
Battle for the lead. Hoffman in the 5 is your point man, but the 44 car, Johnson, trying to get close. They split a lap car down the back straightaway, and Hoffman is able to dive to the inside, maintain the top spot. 40 laps of 150 on the board here at Dover Downs. Hoffman in control of things in the 5, but Jimmy Johnson's right there with him in the Pennzoil Chevrolet. Crews are concerned. Plenty hot here at Dover. We'll have more for you in just a moment. Welcome back to Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware, the Monster Mile, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on CNN Motorsports. First time here for the Greased Lightning 150. Your 2 lead cars, Eddie Hoffman in the 5, Jimmy Johnson in the 44, and they are fast. They are pulling away. They have built up a 10-second advantage over this battle for third. Brandon Sperling in the 40 to the inside of Tristan Dupuis. They are side by side onto the backstretch. Derek Gilchrist has taken a look inside Dupuis a couple of times as well. He's right there at the 52. Sperling makes the move on the low side, going down into 3. So Sperling sitting third now. Dupuis might have been holding that line of traffic up just a little bit. We'll see if Sperling can get away. Looks like Gilchrist, if he can get by, might be a little quicker also.
A lot of these guys are getting a new feeling out there. A lot of them haven't been on speedways before. And when you get to a speedway, there's a lot of air moving around out there. When they run side by side, the outside car tends to want to go straight ahead, and the inside car tends to want to spin out. And that's probably the first time Brandon ever felt that.
And with adding that 1-inch spoiler, making the spoiler 6 by 59 here, what does that do? That gives the car a little more stability, slows it down probably a little bit.
Well, I think maybe these ASA cars are extremely fast, and they're trying to keep the speed down a little bit. So they said they used that excuse of, yeah, we want to make them more stable, but they're trying to slow them down too.
Sperling is third. Dupuis is fourth now in the 11. Gilchrist is fifth in the 52. Now, something that's going to come into play here today is the ASA competition yellow, we think. Amazingly, we've been caution-free so far, the first 46 miles. Jim, what will that do to the teams?
It'll actually allow them to come down pit lane. It's a caution brought out to tighten up the field to make sure the cars are safe, because on super speedways, it's 50 laps in pit. At Memphis, it was 75 laps in pit. On short tracks, they go 100 laps. If they go that long in green, it's for the fans and also for the safety of the competitors. Bring them down, let them change those tires, but it is a competitive pit stop. It's not just come in and go out where you started and finished. When you come down pit lane under competition yellow, if it does come out in a few laps, the cars will come in, get service, and leave and line back up as they leave pit lane. And they can do 4 tires today, which is very critical for the tire guys to get it right.
40 of Sperling, the 11 of Dupuis. They battled for third. Sperling has the spot now. Dupuis is fourth, and they have opened up some running room on Derek Gilchrist. We thought Gilchrist might be a little quicker than the 11 car, but it doesn't look that way at the moment. Gilchrist is about 8 or 9 car lengths back behind the Dupuis machine. Coming up for the leaders, lap 49 next time by, and we're told the competition yellow will wave on lap 50. If you're new to ASA racing, these teams are used to flying pit stops under green flag conditions, so that's not the situation here, but as Jim explained, in the interest of closer competition and safety, after 50 laps on a major speedway like this one, the competition yellow would fall if there had been no other yellows, and we've been clean so far. And that was one of the big concerns coming in here. No one really knew what to expect for these ASA cars at the Monster Mile, but it's been a very clean weekend. No incidents at all in practice, none in qualifying, and we've had 50 miles of green flag racing. Dan Spence with the caution in hand, and we'll have our competition yellow here at Dover Downs. So we can expect to see the leaders and all the field on pit road in just a moment. Eddie Hoffman in the 5 car is your leader in that fast Thunderbird. He's been in position to win several times this year, hasn't been able to get the job done yet.
This will be the 3rd straight race where he's led and led late. Well, it's not late in the race here, but 3rd time he's led at the point and looked strong enough to win a race. The last 2 events, mechanical failures, and he wants those 2 back, and this may make up for how strong he's running this early at Dover.
For these drivers and teams, tremendous prestige on the line here today. It's great to be able to say you've won an ASA race, greater to say you've won one at a major speedway like Dover Downs that has a national reputation. So a lot of these drivers want this one very badly.
I'd like you to look at the spoiler on this car, and you'll notice that it's almost 90 degrees to the world. So what he's doing is making a lot of downforce in the back end, puts a lot of drag, slows down the straightaway speed. But apparently he's decided that it's more important to go fast around the corner than it is fast down the straightaway.
Consider this, Butch. This racetrack at Dover, the straightaways are shorter than the corners length. The corners are longer than the straightaways, which plays a big factor in drafting. They don't get a good draft off of it.
Many drivers will tell you here you're not straight with the wheel very often. You're pretty much turning all the way around Dover Downs. So the field under caution for the first time here this afternoon. 4 tires allowed to be changed at each stop. The team's only had 4 sets of tires for the entire weekend, though, so they'll need to conserve rubber as best they can. Eddie Hoffman will lead them on to pit road, but remember, they'll restart where they come off pit road, so it's up to the teams to do a good job on pit road. Downstairs to Sandy Heng.
Well, Eddie Hoffman is pulling in. You can see first they're going to take on 2 right sides. They also are taking on fuel. Now this could be the last fuel stop for a lot of these cars. They said if they got past 30 laps, they may be good to go to the end. Now they're moving around, taking on 2 left side tires. They're about got it here. Let's go down to my colleague, Brian Greber.
Here in the 44 pit, Howie Leto and the Pennzoil Monte Carlo crew are going to work, and of course we know these guys are fast, so they're going to get the car down and away in a hurry. They're coming around to the left now. They're going to do a 4-tire stop, which of course isn't a very frequent thing here in ASA. They already handed water into the driver, Jimmy Johnson, to keep him cooled down. They've got both lefts on. He's down and away. He wasn't in first, but he sure is going out first. And Tim Taylor's right behind him ahead of Eddie Hoffman.
Big battle off of pit road. Brandon Sperling there in the mix as well. Looks like Taylor will grab second spot off of pit road. So Tim Taylor, who is back in 6th, will gain 4 positions on the exchange. Good work indeed for the EMAS crew to get Taylor down and away quickly. Hoffman will be the restart leader. As the safety car picks up the field here at Dover Downs. Plenty more to come in the Grease Lightning 150. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Monster Mile, the Grease Lightning 150, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN Motorsports. Young fans and old fans enjoying a warm Sunday afternoon, but great racing action here at the Monster Mile. Still under caution, that competition yellow. Sandy Heng, what happened in your pit section?
Well, Eddie Hoffman pulled in, changed 4 tires, but they also ripped off the screen. They're overheating. You could see the debris that's starting to accumulate. They said, better be safe than sorry. Just pulled the whole thing off.
Sometimes that's what you have to do, Butch Miller, on these big speedways to get your car where you need it.
It is. However, there's one downside to that, and then when you pull the screen off, it lets a lot of air go underneath the hood, which actually puts positive pressure under there, lifts the nose of the car, which makes the car push.
Jimmy Johnson first off of pit road. He'll lead him back to green as we begin lap number 57. Taylor is second. A lot of jockeying back in the pack. Now, Mike Miller, we saw how quickly he dropped off the pace. Tristan Dupuis with some problems. Looks like he got into the fence. Left front corner, the 11 is crunched. So Dupuis, who was running up in third, look at that. He's got a donut on the side of the car as well. Dupuis got into the wall somewhere along the way. He's up to speed down the backstretch, but not as quick as he was running earlier on. So Dupuis' bid may have come a cropper here.
He came in 4th on that pit stop, but came out 14th. It may have happened on pit lane. I don't know where there's an inside wall other than on pit lane or the front stretch.
You'd think so, with damage to the left side of the car that way. Out in front, Jimmy Johnson starting to stretch it out now. The 5 car of Hoffman is second. Tim Taylor, the white 28, is third. Brandon Sperling back to 4th. Taylor took 2 tires, whereas most of the front-running teams took 4. That got Taylor out in front off of pit road. It enabled him to restart second, but Hoffman has gobbled him up right away. Mike Garvey in and out on pit road. Sandy Heng, what's the problem with the 1 car?
They lost something internally on the engine. They're running on 5 cylinders. They're still trying to figure out they can do better than that.
Tough situation for the Lefebvre Racing crew. Garvey very positive when we talked with him Friday and yesterday, but things have just not gone well. Jim outlined how he missed a shift during practice, ruined one engine. They put in a new one. That motor's laid down now.
And Garvey had so much expectation coming in this weekend. We know he's very good at the high banks. He's also the most recent winner in ASA on a super speedway. Last year at Pikes Peak, he took the lead with 5 to go and won that race. So coming into this weekend, not only they climbed to third in points, had they climbed to third in points, this team was on a high knowing they'd come to a track that suits Mike Garvey's driving style.
Leaders are in turn 3. Johnson in the 44 is your leader. Hoffman is second. That's the black car. The third place car, the white machine of Taylor. A little further back, Dave Sensiva running 6th in the 6th car. And right with him, Mike Miller and the Jana King Pontiac. On board, Miller. Miller goes by Sensiva without any problem at all. So Mike Miller, apparently that early back pedal was, much as we heard from pit road, not a problem at all. Just wanted to settle in, let things shake out a little before starting a march toward the front. Miller and the Jana King Pontiac is starting to move.
You know, Mike said that he was a little bit loose out there. Well, there's 2 things could have caused that. A stagger could have been off, or also they had a race here earlier with different type of a rubber out there. And it takes a few laps to get all that old rubber worn off. And I think after all that rubber got worn off, Mike settled in and actually didn't backpedal too bad.
On board briefly, we're there with Ken Alexander in the 03 machine. He is 11th, doing a nice job today. On board with Ricky Johnson, his brand new sponsor, the Nationwide Auction Systems Chevrolet, the 22 car. Johnson, the rookie contender, sitting 9th right now. Likes this place a lot. Told me Friday he was very pleased to be running at Dover Downs and very excited about the chance to run at speed here on the Monster Mile. Johnson, Gilchrist, there's Alexander. Freddie Bear in the 94 is 12th. Alexander in the black 03, 11th, doing a really nice job for his first trip to a place like Dover Downs.
Ken Alexander, who we're on the roof of, has got 2 straight top 10 finishes, so he's extremely excited about how his chances are going. He had a top 5 run earlier this year, cut short by some tires that deflated late in the race, but they have 2 top 10 finishes, both 10th place in the last 2 events at Anderson and Salem. Coming into Dover, the Grease Lightning team has a lot to look forward to.
Trouble perhaps. Ricky Johnson pushing up high there in the 22 car. Now he comes back on the throttle. Eric Gilchrist to the inside, wants the spot. This would be for 10th. Gilchrist trying to make a move down the low side on the backstretch, can't do it. Johnson gets the car back down low. Gilchrist again to the inside. Alexander's right there. This is 9th, 10th, and 11th on the racetrack. We're on board watching Ricky Johnson. Mike Garvey actually there in the upper right of your screen in the Tecumseh Chevrolet. And Ricky Johnson now working the wheel of the 22 car. Doesn't look like he's tugging at the wheel too hard, Butch.
Nah, it looks pretty good to me. He's just, you don't like that little wiggle coming off the corner here. You don't want to be up in that. If you get up in the gray here, you head for the wall real quick, and that's not a fun thing to do. He is running that thing high.
Managing to hold off Gilchrist as they battle for 9th and 10th. Johnson in the 22 took a peek on Alec Pinsino in the 93. He is 8th right now. Pinsino in the blue and white machine directly ahead. Pinsino's teammate Tim Sauter, last week's winner at Salem, behind the wall already with a broken timing belt. And they have decided evidently that there's way too much work that would have to be done to get him back on the racetrack. So Sauter out for the afternoon. His chances of gaining a lot of points gone away.
You saw Ricky Johnson running that outside groove through the corner. Well, prior to the cement being here, just prior to that, the track used to come apart every race. And if you got out that far, you just went up and hit the wall. That's all there was to it.
Plenty of grip on this concrete surface.
Oh, there's a tremendous amount of grip.
Gilchrist to the inside of the 22 car, so give Gilchrist 9th spot. He'll take a look now on Pinsino. A little further back, you might have gotten a glimpse of a silver number 4 car back in 15th. That's USAC's Silver Bullet star Dave Steele, making his second ASA start in that machine. Felix Savadas, Team Sabco from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, funding that ride for Steele, who's done some testing for Sabco. On board, Ken Alexander riding 11th in the 03 machine.
I understand he was the fastest car in last night's practice.
Alexander doing a nice job. Directly in front of him, Ricky Johnson in 10th, the Nationwide Auction Systems 22 car. Just announced this morning they will be the major sponsor for Ricky Johnson the rest of this season and all of next in ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series competition. Freddie Bear in the 94 with a good run going. Sitting there in 12th with that pack of cars down the backstretch. Welcome back to Dover Downs, the Monster Mile, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN Motorsports. The Greased Lightning 150 today. Good afternoon. To catch some sun here at Dover Downs. Temperatures close to 100 degrees. We're glad you're with us today on TNN Motorsports. Been a great clean race so far. Only one yellow flag on lap 50. In fact, that was a competition yellow. There's your third place car, the 28 of Tim Taylor. He has done a great job this afternoon, running third behind Jimmy Johnson and Eddie Hoffman. Brian Drebber, that crew has got to be very, very pleased as we watch Johnson and Hoffman open it up. Taylor running very, very smoothly in third spot. What are they saying down there?
Well, they're saying they're awful happy. You know, these guys are a few inches off the ground, I think. Crew Chief Brian Swinney, you're having a great run in the 28 car, and everybody looks pretty happy in your pit.
Yeah, we're real happy right now. Tim said the car pushed just a little after the tire change. It's come back to him. He's running real good. He said the car feels real nice right now.
It's got to be just great when you're running up that close to the front, especially at a fast track like this.
I'll tell you, after the luck we've had, Brian, this is just unreal for us. We've worked real hard. Tim has just knocked himself out with the car this week. Everybody's just real happy right now.
Well, from one Brian to another, good luck to you the rest of the way. And by the way, fellas, you said 100 degrees. I don't care what the weatherman says. Check this out.
Wow. 110 on pit road, 110 and not in the shade. Brian, hang in there, buddy. Plenty of ice water being consumed down on pit road today. You can tell by the crews and by our crews as well.
Now, Butch, with this being a concrete racetrack, with those high temperatures, you mentioned the asphalt coming apart at Dover before they went concrete. Does that track usually run cooler if it's concrete on a day like today?
Well, just simply because it's a lighter color. It doesn't absorb the heat as much. So it does run cooler. And, of course, you don't have that problem. I don't know how hot concrete can get before it comes apart, but obviously much more than the asphalt.
Of course, Dover and Bristol, the two tracks, long tracks, speedways known for having concrete surfaces. Bristol half mile, and here at Dover a 1 mile racetrack, high banked. The banking does apparently have something to do with it. They just laid some concrete down at Watkins Glen, and the groove part of the road course there all the way around. All the corners now have one lane of concrete. Lead change down into turn 3. Eddie Hoffman around Jimmy Johnson on the outside, so give Hoffman back the lead in car number 5, and Johnson appears to be slowing down a little bit. Looks as though Johnson may be off the pace down the main straightaway. Try to check things out in the 44 pit, see what the problem may be for Herzog Motorsports. Jimmy Johnson and that crew preparing to go to the NASCAR Busch Series next year, but Jimmy told us earlier today on race day that they are planning to remain in ASA with 2 cars while Jimmy and his crew move up to the Busch Series. Johnson down on the apron. He'll be coming to pit road, so Johnson off the pace and out of the lead on lap 83 of 150 here at Dover Downs. The Herzog crew jumping into action. Johnson slides the car. He's got problems. Locks him up. Look out. Almost hits the one of Mike Garvey. Very, very close call. Jimmy spins the car on pit road. He's a long way from his pit box. Gets it spun back around. He does have power, obviously. He was able to refire the car. And caution is on the speedway for the incident. Close call on pit road. Johnson's going to come back onto the racetrack and come out with the pace car, not lose a lap. And Spence puts the yellow out. Garvey on pit road for a long time with the hood up. We told you how they had dropped a cylinder in the Lefebvre Racing Chevrolet. Johnson gave up the lead, dropped way off the pace, came onto pit road, spun the car, and almost hit Garvey. Brian Drebber, what's the situation?
Well, of course, the situation is that Howie Ledow and the Pennzoil crew are pretty happy that it brought out a caution. Otherwise, they would have had to pit under green and lose a lap. So they came down pit road and went back out again. The problem is they've got a tire down and they have to change it. But they're not going to lose a lap in this way.
Now here at Dover, they're running on a Goodyear bias ply tire, Butch Miller, but it is a different tire from what's normal, and these tires have a safety inner liner in. Is that what's allowing Johnson to come around the racetrack?
Well, I don't know. I find it hard to believe he can run as fast as he is with a flat tire. Usually, the inner liner will hold it up for half a lap or 3/4 of a lap, and then the outside tire comes apart and will break the fenders up. So, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Maybe the right rear.
He stays out on the racetrack. Johnson has not gone in yet, so he's gone around one more time under caution. Johnson has dropped way back in the scoring run down to 12th. That trip on pit road and that spin cost him several positions at least, but He's at some speed down the backstretch, and we would assume he'll come in this time. And we're told there is some moisture down on pit road, and that's why the 44 car spun. You could see Jimmy slide as he came off onto pit road. Sandy Hang, what's going on down there?
Well, I'm right in front of Rick's pit, and you can see the oil that's right down here. His teammate, there is some oil down in pit lane. And they say it was dropped by the 23 car. It's going to make it greasy for everyone coming in on these pit stops right now.
So with 86 laps on the board, the 23 of Rick Beebe on pit road stopped. Apparently an oil leak in that machine. There you see the trail behind the 23. Hoffman on pit road. They're going to go left side tires on the 5 car now. Jimmy Johnson back on pit road as well, coming to the attention of Howie Leno. Brian Drebber.
Well, they're taking the right side of the car up after they had said they thought I had a left rear tire going down. But clearly it's the right side rubber that they're concerned with, and the crew now goes to work on the left side. The left rear did look awful soft when they jacked the right side of the car up. It was wobbling back and forth pretty hard. Now, we said it before, these guys are fast. They're going to have to be really fast to keep things together here for Jimmy Johnson as Mike Miller beats him down pit road, and Gary St. Amant, that's going to be a drag race.
Johnson down and away. St. Amant will not get out quicker than Johnson. So St. Amant trying to gain some spots, being shown second on the scoring charts at the moment. As we get close to lap 100, Brandon Sperling on the racetrack doing a nice job. He'll be your restart leader of the Crookston Motorsports Chevrolet. Lots more to come your way from Dover Downs. We'll be right back. We're back at Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. The ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN Motorsports. The Grease Lightning 150 today. First ever appearance for ASA here at the Monster Mile. Second half of a Motorsports twin bill with the Indy Racing League here today. We're under caution for an unusual incident on pit road. Jimmy Johnson was off the pace in the 44 with a tire down. Look at this, Butch Miller. Started to spin coming on pit road and almost hit the 1 car.
My goodness, those guys were doing a good job. Somebody was paying attention. Those guys at the 1 car ran. This guy right here jumped. This guy right there jumped over the wall.
You've been waiting all day to play with that.
I see him doing. John Madden does it all the time. I wanted to do it.
So Jimmy Johnson came onto pit road. Look at Mike Garvey. He's on pit road watching in the mirror. Takes a look up. Good call by Garvey.
Really,
quarterbacking his team, getting him out of the way.
Really good call.
Was that stop, stop, stop? He was yelling at Jimmy Johnson. I don't know if Johnson could hear him there.
I don't know. He was just making enough noise for everybody to look up and see if something was different.
Wow, unusual situation. Downstairs to Sandy Hang.
Well, I'm now down here with Mike Garvey right now. Geez, what did you see when you saw the 44 car come in here on pit road?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
What did you see when you saw Jimmy Johnson come in here on pit road?
Oh, I just hollered at the guys to get out of the way. They're just sliding at the car. I didn't want none of the guys to get hurt. It's a shame. I mean, we've had a fast car. Comes to Monte Carlo was fast in practice. I over-revved it, and I think we bent a valve in qualifying and qualified bad, and we put a new motor in. Now it looks like the push rod jumped out or something, so the guys are trying to fix it. And thought we had such a good weekend coming, and it just went totally downhill.
Did you ever start the race on 6, or did you take the green on 5?
As we was coming out of turn 4 to get the green, we dropped a cylinder as soon as we started the race, so we never got a chance to race.
Okay, tough day for Mike Garvey. Let's go down to Brian. Hey, Brian.
All right, Sandy, thanks. I'm standing with Rick Beebe, and not the way I like to. I'd much prefer to interview this man in victory lane, but Rick, you're out of the race. What happened?
Yeah, Brian, just a short day for the Meyer for Shadow Banquet Foods Pontiac. Fighting a loose condition to begin with. I think we missed our setup a little bit. Just experience cost us a problem there. Ran good for 15, 20 laps and started backing up, but noticed a little vibration about 3 laps when we fell out, and lo and behold, lost a crank or rod or something and destroyed the engine, so we're out for the day.
Put some oil down on the track. You said you thought that might have been what sent Johnson around.
Yeah, I think so. I think we dumped a little oil on the racetrack and caused Jimmy to get spun. And sounded like it probably was a good deal for him instead of a bad deal, but oiled the track pretty good. I about spun on my own oil, so luckily we didn't take anybody else out with us.
Better luck next time.
Thank you.
Tough afternoon for a couple of the strong veterans in this series. Mike Garvey, Rick Beebe, both done for the day. Brandon Sperling from 8th starting spot, your restart leader in the Crookston Motorsports Chevrolet. Best run he's had in a long time. And here's Derek Gilchrist in the 52. Inside Ricky Johnson, that's for 2nd spot. Ken Alexander right there. He is 4th in the 03. Alexander wants 3rd spot. Down the back straightaway. Door to door with Ricky Johnson down into 3. Alexander, the rookie, doing a great job here at Dover Downs. Look at that, up to 3rd. Great run today for the Grease Lightning owner. On board with Ricky Johnson, back to 4th now with brand new sponsorship on that machine this weekend. for the rest of this season and next. He pushes up into the middle of the racetrack. That car has not worked well down low all afternoon.
For some reason, he wants to run that car in the upper groove, and from watching, you can't really tell what it is. Sometimes it just turns better up there. Sometimes if you're loose on the bottom, you have to go to the top.
Now, all that pit stop shuffling gave these 4 cars quite an advantage coming off pit road. Sperling is your leader. Here's Jimmy Johnson trying to make his way back up through the field behind Eddie Hoffman. They fight it out for 6th spot. Tim Taylor is in 5th. Hoffman is 6th. 7th is Johnson. So Johnson got his problem sorted out, whatever it was, with the tires. Hoffman to the inside, down in 3. Taylor shuts the door on him. Coach, we noticed the clouds starting to come in here a little bit. It's going to cool things down on a concrete racetrack with biased tires. What will the cloud cover do?
It does the same as any other racetrack. Usually, when the sun comes out, the car gets loose. The clouds come out, the car tightens back up. However, watching Jimmy Johnson come off that last corner, I saw his back end twitching around a little bit. You know, the other thing, I cannot believe that he spun that car out on pit road, came to a complete stop, had to do a 180, go the other way, and never lost a lap.
Long lap here under caution since it is a 1-mile track. He didn't stop the first time. That's what surprised me. He kept going with that down tire. I thought for sure he would have to stop at the end of pit road.
That was a heads-up move by a crew chief by the name of Howie Leto, who's directed 6 drivers to Rookie of the Year titles and Tony Raines to the championship in ASA. As soon as that yellow came out, they knew they would go down a lap, so he actually beat the lead car and the pace car out to stay on lead lap. Heads-up move by the Pennzoil crew.
Still battling for 5th, 6th, and 7th spots. 5 of Hoffman, who led a bunch of laps earlier, is 6th. Johnson is 7th. Up front, Sperling gives up the lead to Derek Gilchrist, and Alexander goes by. Gives 2nd to Ken Alexander. Sperling settles back into 3rd now. Ricky Johnson rides 4th in the 22. Gilchrist, with 2 wins on the season, is your new leader.
Has the 03 car ever been up this far before this year?
Not to my recollection.
Never has.
I think he smells the front, and this could get exciting.
He was up to 5th at one point in a race and ended up dropping back to 19th, and now this is about his 6th race in a row with Dickie Anderson, the short track superstar out of Florida, helping that team out on top of the pit box, talking to Ken Alexander. And Butch, you raced against Dickie, and you know he's an excellent chassis guy, helping Ken Alexander go fast in the 03.
Yeah, he really is. He knows more about chassis than most people, most people put together. He's won a bazillion races in South Florida, ran a lot on the All-Pro, won a lot of races there.
A bazillion is more than you've won, I think.
That's maybe more than Trickle's won.
Derek Gilchrist is out in front of the Robert Hamke, Ken Schrader machine. There's Ken Alexander in 2nd. Brian Trevor, Dick Anderson must be plenty happy with what his young charge is doing here.
Well, he certainly is, from 17th up to 2nd, and I know how big a fan Butch Miller is of Dick Anderson and Jim Trado, too. Well, Ken Alexander's a pretty big fan of this guy. I asked Ken this morning, Dick, how have you helped Ken Alexander? And he said, in every way possible. Would you think that that's fair?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is a good team here. He's got a good bunch of boys working for him, and I'm really happy to be associated with them. But this Grease Lightning team's doing a little better each week. And as you can see by our performance out here today, they're going to be tough by the end of the year.
Well, Ken tried to talk about how you've helped him set up the race car, but he seemed to emphasize how you've helped him set up Ken Alexander.
Well, you know, Ken doesn't have near the experience that the rest of these boys have, so you have to take that in consideration. When you see him running 2nd at a track like Dover and against this kind of competition, you got to take your hat off to the man.
Congratulations for how you're doing so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
Well, I'm happy to be associated with this team.
All right, guys, you can tell that it just may be possible to buy experience.
You know, I know how Dickie Anderson does that, too. He goes and he stands on the front straightaway, and he says, Ken, you lift when you get to me, not before. The next lap, he goes down 10 more feet, 10 more feet. And pretty soon, Ken goes way down there until he's too far. And Dickie calls, why'd you do that? What's the matter with you?
Add me to the list of admirers of Dick Anderson, by the way. I've seen him win many a race in his 92 car in All-Pro and in Florida competition. We need the Heat Busters today at Dover, and we're back with plenty more in a moment. Back at the Monster Mile, the Grease Lightning 150, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. First appearance here and first time on TNN Motorsports from Dover Downs. I'm Rick Benjamin, Butch Miller, and Jim Trado alongside Sandy Heng and Brian Trevor on pit road for us today. We're past the 100-mile mark here at Dover, 43 to go. Your leader is Derek Gilchrist. And Butch Miller, when you saddle up Friday night at Indianapolis Raceway Park in that Channel Lock Chevrolet, you're going to have a new face in competition against you.
Yeah, and I think it's a good one, too, because I think Kenny Schrader has picked him a good pilot to run his car at IRP. Gilchrist has got a lot of talent. I have said that in the past, I think, and I think he'll run that car as fast as it'll go.
Yeah, it'll be the car that Kenny Schrader drives for Andy Petrie in the Busch Series. The open home Chevy is what Derek will pilot at IRP Thursday night.
Looking forward to seeing there. He's run there, of course, at IRP, so it should be a good combination. We'll be there, as a matter of fact, and have the coverage for you next Sunday on TNN Race Day at 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time. Top three starting to bunch up. The guy we really need to talk about is Jimmie Johnson. Came off pit road 8th on lap 91 after that pit stop, up to 3rd and flying. He's the quickest car at the moment.
He's right here behind Ken Alexander. Again, Alexander running in the 2nd position. Jimmie now closing in. He's gained about 4 car lengths a lap, and he's really getting on the back bumper, and he might go by him here in the next lap or two.
On board with Alexander, the Grease Lightning Chevrolet, the stunning drive of the day, certainly the one Alexander's turned in to run up to 2nd spot here. Behind the car he backs, the Grease Lightning Chevrolet of Gilchrist. Lap traffic, David Anspaugh moving down low. Johnson will allow the 03 of Alexander to move up high, all 3 liters freight train by Anspaugh's machine. Down into 3 they go. Johnson's gotten up there to the 03 a couple of times, hasn't been able to make a move yet.
Well, you know, I can't help it. I'm sitting here watching the race, and I really want Ken Alexander to at least lead one lap. You know, it's such a thrill to lead your first ASA race. You know, I'm kind of rooting him on.
Less than 40 to go now. Gilchrist in the 52 is your leader. Took the lead off that last round of pit stops. Only 2 cautions on the afternoon if you're just joining us. One at lap 50, a competition caution. One at lap 91 for Jimmie Johnson's spin on pit road. He got in some oil dropped by Rick Beebe's machine. Almost hit Mike Garvey, who was under the attention of his crew with the hood up on the 1 car. A wild incident. Dan Spence put the yellow out. Allowed everybody to come in, get fuel and tires, and shuffled the field considerably. Jack Landis getting lapped in the 07 car. Gilchrist on his way. 2 wins under his belt already, and a stout run underway here at Dover Downs. And his teammate Alexander in the 03, the black car, riding 2nd. Tristan Dupuis going another lap down. Dupuis was up in the lead group early on here, but he's been off the pace for quite some time. Johnson is 3rd in the 44. Tim Taylor is 4th in the white machine there, the 28. And Eddie Hoffman rides 5th at the 5 car. Now, Hoffman has spent time out front this afternoon. Doesn't seem to have the strength that car showed early in the race. The 44 of Johnson may be having more tire problems. That's what brought him in and touched off the spin on pit road. He has slowed down. He was flying up through there and had closed on the 2 liters, but now he's backpedaling. Looks as though he's not up to speed at all. Holding up Taylor in the 28. Hoffman in the 5 car at the moment. They're in 3. 2 lead cars have opened up 20 car lengths on this battle for 3rd.
One thing about Tim Taylor running in the middle there in the white car, notice his hood is really getting a lot of air underneath it, Butch, and that may cause some disturbing runs because we see Hoffman's nose is solid to the ground. Johnson's nose solid to the ground, but that hood is starting to flap. Is that going to cause any sort of a problem?
Actually, probably not.
Johnson onto the apron. He'll be coming onto pit road. Tire problems, the word we're getting from the Herzog Motorsports crew. So for the 2nd time in 25 laps, Johnson will bring the Pennzoil Chevrolet onto pit road. Pole sitter today has led a bunch of laps. He was a major contender. Comes onto pit road very quickly. He's going to hammer the brakes here and bring the car to a stop. Brian Drebner.
He does exactly that. Skids the tires just a little bit, and they go to work on the right side. So once again, Jimmie Johnson having tire problems here. They pull one off, and the right front does not look all that good. I'll check it out for you in just a moment after they get out of here. They're having a pretty quick stop, and now Johnson peels out of here and leaves a lot of rubber on the way out.
Quick pit work by the 44 bunch, but he did go a lap down. So Johnson drops off the lead lap here late in the going. Coming up on 120 complete. There'll be 30 to go in just a moment. Your leader is Gilchrist in the 52 car. Ken Schrader's Grease Lightning Chevrolet out in front. Ken Alexander's Grease Lightning Chevrolet is in 2nd. There's the tire that caused Jimmie Johnson all the trouble. Back with more at Dover. 25 to go at the Monster Mile. Welcome back to Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware for the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series on TNN Motorsports. Hey, coming up in a few weeks, not just a sprint car race, the Super Bowl of sprint cars, the Amoco Knoxville Nationals, biggest show of the year, more than $100,000 to win on Saturday night. You'll see it all right here on Saturday night, August 14th, 9 Eastern and Pacific on TNN Motorsports. My good buddy Ralph Shaheen will have the call Steve Evans and Brad Doty, and it will be a dandy. If you've never been to Knoxville, you won't want to miss this one. You can watch it all here on TNN Motorsports. Out in front, less than 25 trips to go. Derek Gilchrist and Ken Alexander, the two Grease Lightning machines with lap traffic ahead. They are way out in front. They've got 3 seconds on Tim Taylor, who is third. This is not your normal ASA running order this late in the race. Where are all the familiar names? They've had problems all day.
The highest running driver in the top 6 in points is Gary St. Amant, currently 6th on the racetrack. He's 5th in the points, but every other point runner has had their problems. Ricky Johnson's running in 5th. He's 7th in points. Those guys have a lot to gain with the problems of Jimmy Johnson with the tire going down. Tim Sauter didn't even start the race if you're just tuning in. He had a timing chain go bad on the base laps. A lot of weird things happen. Rick Beebe lost an engine. Things continue to happen for Mike Garvey, who lost a cylinder, and his car is out of the race apparently.
And good things are happening for the 52 and Derek Gilchrist and the 03 and Ken Alexander. They are 1-2 coming up on 20 to go momentarily, lapping by Greg Stewart's 33 car on the backstretch. What about Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter today? Brian Drebber, they've had no luck at all when it comes to tires.
You're exactly right about that, and I talked to Howie Leddow. He said they've been having tire pressure problems, and then he confessed that they may have a camber problem on the right front. They're wearing out the inner edge of the right front tire, and it's happened more than once.
That would seem to indicate that things aren't right with the front end geometry.
Well, you know, that's kind of a good crutch, because the more camber you put in, the better that car will turn. And he probably was just trying to make it turn really well.
Trouble for Tim Taylor. Off the pace in the 28 car. Taylor was running third. He is way slow down the backstretch. We'll get back to that thought that Butch was elaborating on. Taylor down onto the apron. His bid is apparently done. 130 miles complete, 20 to go. We've had no incidents on the racetrack at all here at Dover Downs today. It's been a safe, clean, interesting, and exciting event so far. Taylor's bid today, very, very stout, but problems for the 28 car on the back straightaway. We'll try to get you more from pit road as he brings the machine down to the attention of his crew. Taylor will stop the car very, very slowly. Brian Drebber, what do they think the problem is?
Well, they got the gas can and nothing else ready, so I would say that narrows it down somewhat. They're cleaning the windshield and doing a few other minor things, but it looks as though gasoline, or the lack thereof, was the primary problem.
1 can of fuel into the 28 car. Everybody hollering, go, 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 but he may have stalled it. Trying to push start the 28 on pit road. Taylor gave up third to Eddie Hoffman. He's losing a ton of time in ground, and it will not fire. Here's David Steele, the Felix Sabates funded car from the Automotive Promotions Group, the Bud Gebbin team. He's got problems. He's on pit road. Steele, the USAC open wheel standout. Dan Spence looks the field over from the flag stand. Shows the passing flag to several cars. Brian, what's their situation?
Well, they're running around to the right side of the car, and it could be similar to that of Jimmy Johnson's. They're changing the right front tire and fueling the car, of course, to avoid the problem that Tim Taylor just had. In any case, they came in for an unscheduled stop, and Dave Steele, who is the test driver for the Pennzoil IRL team, is now climbing out of the car. They've got a number of the crewmen here from that team, and Dave Steele, of course, test drives for them and drives in the ASA car, but could be over for them.
Steele, part of the Panther pack. He jumps out of the race car, pulls the gloves off, and we've got, it looks like a caution is going to come out onto the speedway. We'll show you what happened here a moment ago. This is Steele in the 4 car. Looks like he might have had a little help there from Eddie Hoffman. They were very close on the racetrack. Steele looped it coming off the second corner.
Steele was running the 13th position, a couple of laps down. Hoffman making his way up into third, had just gotten the position, and they made serious contact off of turn 2, and he hit harder than I thought on the inside.
Didn't even realize he'd gotten into the wall. Hoffman side-slapped the fence, or rather Steele side-slapped the fence coming off of turn 2. So Dave Steele is out of the car. The Panther pack helping out today. The Dave Steele effort for Automotive Promotions and Team Sabco. So we're back under caution, third time this afternoon. 133 miles are complete, 17 to go. Your leader is Derek Gilchrist. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware on TNN Motorsports, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series. Grease Lightning 150 today. It has been an interesting afternoon, to say the least. 16 miles to go. Derek Gilchrist and Ken Alexander, your top 2 cars. Eddie Hoffman back up to third now. Interesting indeed, this third caution of the day. The first a competition yellow, the second for a pit road incident when Jimmy Johnson spun in some oil. First on-track incident of the afternoon has just happened. Brian Drebber standing by with the driver involved.
David Steele out of the race car first. Are you okay? And second, what happened?
Yeah, we were all right. We're just, the car wasn't bad the whole race. We had a bad starting spot, and We got loose right there towards the end, like the last 20 laps we ran, and the leaders were coming up on me, and I tried to get out of the way. I think I got a little too, careless. I think I may have dipped the left front down a little too low off the track and just turned me around. So, besides that, I'm not used to these stock cars, man. My feet got blisters on it. Things get hot in there. So, it's just a bad deal, for my crew, because they did a pretty good job, and just have to wait till next time.
Better luck next time, then.
Thanks.
David Steele's second ASA start. He ran at Indianapolis Raceway Park earlier this year in that 4-car out of the Automotive Promotion stables. 15 miles to go. Derek Gilchrist looking at perhaps his 3rd win of the season. We'll be right back. Back under green at Dover Downs. The green has just reappeared in the Greased Lightning 150. 13 laps remaining down the back straightaway. Derek Gilchrist, your leader in the 52 car for Ken Schrader Racing. Ken Alexander, the rookie, is second in the 03, the Greased Lightning Chevrolet out of his own stables. In fact, rookie drivers are occupying the top 4 spots. Jimmy Johnson in the 44 is up to 3rd on the racetrack, but he's a lap down, trying to get by the leaders and get his lap back in the waning moments here at Dover Downs. Ricky Johnson rides 4th in the 22. There's your top 2. Johnson 3rd in the Pennzoil Chevrolet on the racetrack, but not 3rd in the running order. He's scored back in 10th spot right now. Gilchrist and Alexander. Now, Gilchrist carries Alexander's company as his major sponsor. They're not truly teammates, but in the money sense they are. Here's Hoffman riding 3rd in the 5-car. Eddie Hoffman, who has led here today. Alexander now starting to get close to the 52 down the backstretch. Johnson will take a look to the inside. He wants to get by and get his lap back, hope for a caution, and come around and have a shot at this thing. 9 laps to go this time by. This will be lap 141 and 150. No change up in front. Alexander protecting Gilchrist's flanks. Here's Johnson to the high side. On board with Alexander. The very tough turn 2 here at Dover Downs.
Gilchrist is awful loose right now, and he's having a hard time keeping the boss back there.
Alexander looking high.
Gilchrist has only pitted once this race, the same strategy he used to win at IRB, so he's got very used up tires. He came down on lap 52, and we're now 90 laps past that.
It's starting to show up because Hoffman has started to catch the lead cars as well. Hoffman is 4th in this group, though, so he's got his work cut out for him. Alexander back on the button. Your leader is Gilchrist. Sandy Hang, what do they think in his pits? Can he get the rest of the way home?
At this point, because I got to tell you, I was talking with his crew chief just a few moments ago. The last 20 laps, the car wasn't as handling as well as he'd like it, and that could have opened the window of opportunity. That second place car around him.
Gilchrist doing a great job hanging on. There you see it wiggle again between turns 1 and 2.
Ken Alexander's heart's got to be going 100 miles an hour right now.
On board Alexander, he is 2nd. Great run for the CEO of Greased Lightning. Coming up 6 laps to go, this time by 6 trips around the Monster Mile. Johnson looking inside. He wants to go. He's waving. He's got problems. Problems again in the 44 car.
He got out of the way. He can't win the race anymore, and he's letting those 3 guys go race for it. Great sportsman.
Eddie Hoffman moves by in the 5 car. He is 3rd. Johnson still at speed, but he's about 10 car lengths further back now. 2 leaders have sprinted away. Hoffman's about 3 car lengths further back. 5 laps to go. 5 to go. And the 03 of Alexander looks like he's off the pace.
Alexander may have the better car. He may have gotten too close to the back end of Gilchrist coming off of turn number 4. That may have given Gilchrist the cushion he needs.
Hoffman takes a look on the 03 of Alexander. Alexander will shut the door on Hoffman. Now he pushes up the racetrack. This is for 2nd spot. Gilchrist is scooted away. Oh, and Alexander gets loose. Alexander gets loose. Johnson gets by. Oh, David Anspaugh rams Alexander and dumps him into the wall hard. Oh, a hard impact coming off turn 4. Alexander got a little bit loose, fought it, kept it going in the right direction, stopped in the middle of the racetrack. David Anspaugh apparently didn't see him and drove right into the 03. Moved Alexander hard into the inside wall. He's dropped the window net. He's moving around, waves his hands. He's okay. We're under caution on lap 146. So a great run for Alexander comes apart here at the very end. David Anspaugh with a hard 2 licks to the 37 car as well. Safety crew is on the scene. This is at the start of the main straightaway, just past the entrance to pit road. Safety crews are there. The ambulance crew is there. You can see David Anspaugh unbuckling his helmet. Anspaugh several laps down. He was running 20th at the time. Alexander, though, was running second. What a tough end to a great afternoon.
Here again, not to say that these rookie drivers don't have what it takes at this racetrack, but they don't know what it can happen on this racetrack. Butch, they talked about the wind and the air, and as close as Hoffman was, and Alexander skating just a bit, it might have been an air situation where the air was flowing around the cars, a situation they were not familiar with.
I'm not sure if it wasn't a bumper-to-bumper situation as much as it was an air situation.
We'll take another look at it here, hopefully, but it looked as though Alexander got loose first, and then Hoffman ran up underneath.
Had to check up a little bit, maybe?
Yeah.
Could be.
Take one more look at it. Here they are, the 03 of Alexander running second, the 5 of Hoffman. Butch, what do we see here?
Well, I'm watching it. It looked like Alexander got a little high, got a little loose, and maybe checked up, and the 5 car just hit him.
Ricky Johnson just gets by. Jimmy goes low. Anspaugh with nowhere to go on the brakes. Drills the 03 in the back end. Alexander noses into the wall hard. Tough way to end it.
That looked like Anspaugh didn't know what he was doing there.
Here we go again. There you saw the little bit of contact when Alexander slipped up high. Hoffman looked like he really didn't have any place to go. Hoffman stays out of trouble. Now watch this. Anspaugh with cars to the outside of him and not enough time, I think, to get back to the inside.
He actually ran into a little bit and got turned to the inside where he didn't have a chance to turn away.
Here's the onboard view from Alexander's car. He goes by Anspaugh. Now the look from behind. Here's Hoffman running up on him, going down into 3. This is for second spot now. Alexander brings the car down low, slips up high. This is between 3 and 4. You can hear him losing.
Oh, yeah.
You heard him lift the throttle.
Oh, boy. Great onboard views from our Grease Lightning camera there. This is going to take a while to clean up.
We should have warned you to put your head against the headrest if you had a big screen TV at home. That came right into the living room.
Sure did. So the safety crew is on the scene. Both cars will have to go up on rollbacks or on the hooks to get out of here. And we're going to get out of here, too, for a moment or two and come back to finish up the Grease Lightning 150. The crew, Ken Alexander, reacting to a tough afternoon for the boss. Welcome back to Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware. ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series action on TNN Motorsports. We're glad you're with us. I'm Rick Benjamin, Butch Miller, and Jim Trado topside. Sandy Heng and Brian Trevor on pit road. 4 laps to go. The lap count is on hold for ASA rules. Tough afternoon end for the 03 of Ken Alexander, who was running second, doing a great job. A contender to win. He and Eddie Hoffman coming down the backstretch. Hoffman dives to the inside. Listen. You heard it get away from him.
I'm not sure it didn't pop into neutral. You know, it's almost like it came out of gear.
2 incredibly hard hits. You saw David Anspaugh drill the back end of the 03 car. The second impact when the 03 hit the inside concrete retaining wall here at Dover. Both Alexander and Anspaugh are fine out of their race cars. Alexander was in second spot, looking great. We were just talking about how Derek Gilchrist, who's been leading for quite a while now, looked as though his car was incredibly loose, and he might not be able to hang on ahead of Alexander.
He may have been able to hold that restart last caution because Alexander was behind him. Alexander stayed right to his rear bumper, did not make a pass or a challenge. Now Gilchrist has just the second place car of Eddie Hoffman behind him on the restart.
And Eddie Hoffman will make a challenge.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. So we've got 4 laps remaining. Field is on the racetrack under caution, but the lap count is on hold. As you get one more look at the inside of an incredibly torn-up Grease Lightning Chevrolet at Dover Downs. Back at Dover Downs, 1 lap till the restart. What are these 2 contending crews going to do here in the last couple of laps downstairs? Brian Trevor.
Well, I'm with crew chief Robert Hamke, and what he's going to do right now is talk to his driver, Derek Gilchrist. Robert, what is your plan here for the closing laps? The car maybe not quite what you want it to be. What are you going to do?
Well, we just got to hope. Got our fingers crossed. He's got a little fragile tires. We were running fast. We didn't need them last yellows, but we'll just have to see.
That's the word from here. Sandy, what about you?
I'm with Terry Evans, Eddie Hoffman's crew chief. You've got it to get around him, you think, huh?
Yeah, we got enough to get around him. We believe it's our time. We've led the last 2 races, and right until the end when something's happened, and we believe we got it to get around him.
We're going green, guys.
Sure are. Pontiac safety car ready to dive onto pit road here at the Monster Mile. Derek Gilchrist, your restart leader, going for his 3rd win of the year. Rookie Eddie Hoffman also in his first year, as is Gilchrist in ASA competition, wants his first win. He's been so close several times this year. And here we go. 4 laps to settle it. Ricky Johnson is 3rd. Gary St. Amant is 4th. Dave Sensiva is 5th. Brandon Sperling 6th. Green and going. on lap 146. 4 laps remaining. Now, don't count out St. Amant or Johnson here in this one either. St. Amant's been quiet much of the day, but he's played his cards very nicely. Brandon Sperling is also in the mix back there. This is your battle up front, though. The 52 of Gilchrist, your leader. The 5 of Hoffman in second spot out of turn 4. 3 to go this time by. Down into 1, no change. Gilchrist wiggles loose again, yeah. Butcher talked about how you want to try to drive under somebody coming off the corner here, but Hoffman goes up high down the backstretch.
Gilchrist is protecting that bottom right now. He's still loose. Oh,
right in there, and he goes around. Oh boy, here we go again. Contact. Ricky Johnson gets into Hoffman. Johnson will come off this one with a lead in St. Amant. So Eddie Hoffman's run of bad luck continues in the 5 car. Unbelievable. Trying to get it refired. Damage to the front end of the structural transport Ford. Spins the tires. Caution back out. We hold at lap 148 with 2 to go now. Ricky Johnson tried to get out of the binders. Couldn't do it. Tore up the front of the 22 car.
What a shame. He drove a perfect race. Was going to have a solid third. And now it looks like he's done.
Just escaped that last incident with Alexander and with Anspaugh a few moments ago.
Did a great dirt track move, and considering the damage he has on the car and how few laps are left, he could stay on lead lap if they maybe rip the hood off. There's no serious leaking. They can get that National Auction Systems car back, Nationwide Auction Systems car back out. He could still finish lead lap, but you're right, a top 3 finish has been spoiled.
Eddie Hoffman, we just heard from his crew chief a moment ago. They thought they had this one in the bag. They could see how Gilchrist had gotten loose. Hoffman drove right up underneath the 52 car coming off turn 4. Don't know if there was contact or not, but sure took the air off the back end of the 52.
You can't blame either one of them because Gilchrist, he was protecting the track. It's the end of the race. He can run any groove he wants to just about. And Eddie Hoffman, he was looking for that other place that Gilchrist wasn't. And I think they came together a little bit.
Safety crew talking to Hoffman. The window net is down. He's okay in the car, moving around. But you know, he is disgusted with what's just happened here at the Monster Mile. Back to close this one out in a moment. Welcome back to Dover Downs in Dover, Delaware on TNN Motorsports, the ASA AC-Delco Challenge Series Grease Lightning 150. We were talking about how smooth and clean this race had been, but the last 20 laps, we've had a couple of wild incidents. We'll show you the most recent one that has us with the lap count on hold with 2 to go. This is coming off of turn 4 onto the main straightaway here at the Monster Mile. Derek Gilchrist in the 52, Eddie Hoffman in the 5. Apparently contact between the 2 lead cars as they race for the lead. This is Hoffman's crew. Hoffman got turned around as well as Gilchrist. Here it is one more time from up on high. The 5 and the 52 and the 52. Looks like he just went around.
It looked like it was air.
Yeah.
And then Hoffman was right on his tail.
Hoffman got bumped into the wall, and Ricky Johnson couldn't get slowed down quickly enough into the back end of the 5. Turned Hoffman around into the inside wall hard. Hoffman looked like he had this one pretty much going his way because we've talked about how Gilchrist's car was getting looser and looser and looser, and Hoffman's crew was very confident, but can't win him when you go home on the hook.
And Gilchrist, how he spun and stayed high on the racetrack, Hoffman probably saw the hole, and Johnson thought if he's going to spin anywhere, I'm going to go high and follow Hoffman. And with Gilchrist staying high, involving the 5 car, it slowed his momentum. And Johnson, as you can see the damage, the crew's already poured about 10 gallons of water in the radiator or in the front of the engine to cool it down, and they continue to work on that Herzog Motorsport Chevy.
Now with the lap count frozen at 148, Johnson has not yet lost a lap. He's still being shown in 3rd spot, but we don't believe he'll be able to take the green flag on the restart. Question mark about whether Gary St. Amant will be the restart leader. He was 4th when all this broke loose a moment ago, and he may be the restart pole sitter.
Now keep in mind, in ASA rules, if you spin, you don't automatically go to the back like on a short track weekly show. If you spin and you're leading and you spin and you're still 5th in line, you'll be 5th in line on the restart. Gilchrist went back to the point, but his spin, he did keep going straight, but St. Amant beat him across the stripe, and he will lead this restart.
Robert Hamke talking there to the ASA official about where the 03 car, what happened to the 03 car, and also about where the 52 car will line up on the restart. Gilchrist being shown as the leader on the scoring monitor, but it looks as though St. Amant will be put at the head of the line. Now, St. Amant has not been in contention at all today. The defending series champion, we talked at the top of the broadcast how he needs a couple of wins to get back into this. 5th in points right at the moment. St. Amant and Dave Sensiba apparently will lead him to green when we're ready to go here, which will not be this next time around. Dan Spence at the flag stand still with the yellow flag in hand to the drivers, so that means we'll have at least one more lap before we go and get ready to restart with 2 trips remaining here at Dover Downs.
See that smile on his face? He said, how'd this happen?
He'll take it.
How many times this year have we seen St. Amant have the best race car and come up short? Here he is on a day when he has had anything but the best race car, and he may end up with this one falling into his lap.
In as many races as Gary St. Amant has run at ASA in 14 years of competition, his best finish on a super speedway was 2nd last year at Milwaukee. He's never been a super speedway guy. His highest finish prior to that was 4th. He's never been in the top 10 or in contention on any big racetrack.
Well, he wasn't today for a long time. I hesitate to write the final line to this story because we've tried to a couple of times already and it hasn't worked out that way. We still have 2 miles to go, and as we've seen, plenty can happen, but St. Amant's certainly in the catbird seat, it looks like at this point. We're told that ASA officials are taking a look at the tapes to see exactly where the 52 car ended up and where he will get back in line for this, what we think will be the final restart of the afternoon. Right now, Gilchrist is 3rd. Now, he's led a good portion of the last 50 miles here today. But because of his tire situation, we heard his crew chief, Robert Hamke, say that they thought their tires were pretty fresh and pretty good, but he's been awfully loose, Butch, the last several laps under speed.
He sure has, and I think that's probably what caused the problem. And, you know, I got to give Eddie Hoffman a nut guilty on that one.
Thank you, Judge
In the
Butch.
People's Court, I was going to say, Judge Mills Lane joining us here in the booth today. Next week, we'll be back on the air on TNN Motorsports with ASA action, 2 o'clock Eastern and Pacific time from La Crosse, Wisconsin. Looking forward to that. We're going to be up at the Brickyard next week for much of the week. We'll have full coverage of all the Indianapolis activities for you next Sunday on race day at 11 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, and then we'll be flying up to La Crosse Saturday night to bring you ASA action on Sunday afternoon. Stand by, because on TNN Motorsports, your Sunday of motorsports continues with the Shade Tree Mechanic. That's at the conclusion of our broadcast here today at the Monster Mile. It has clouded over considerably. Track temperatures no doubt have cooled off a good bit, although since we've been over 100 degrees, probably hasn't changed things that much yet. But, which, as you mentioned, it tightens up the racetrack a lot when the clouds roll in.
It didn't tighten it up enough for the 52 car, unfortunately. I hate to see it if the sun was out and it was that loose.
1 to green is the signal, so St. Amant will be the leader. It appears that Gilchrist will line up 3rd behind Dave Sensiba, who we've not talked about at all today. Sensiba in the Prestige Truck Accessories Pontiac has done a fine job as well to stay in the top 10. When these late race problems come about, there they are. They're veterans in the series. They know how to keep their car and their nose clean for 150 laps.
So St. Amant will be the restart leader. Sensiba will line up 2nd. Sandy Hang, what about Sensiba's situation? Has he got a chance here?
Well, I'm here with crew chief Dave Taylor. You got a chance at this, you think?
I think so. We've been a little quicker than Gary. Just the restarts are crucial, and the car's a little tight, but Gary's about where we're at, and we're just thankful to be where we're at the Prestige Pontiac. We're the first run in Pontiac. We want to win some money.
Okay, we're going green, guys.
Contingency money on the line, along with a big purse here this afternoon at Dover Downs. Gilchrist, who's led so long, the last caution, of course, he and Hoffman tangling, gets to come back to 3rd for the restart. Brandon Sperling lines up 4th for the restart. Look at that. Mike Miller will take the green flag in 5th. Jimmy Johnson not back on the lead lap as yet. He's 6th in line for the restart. 2 to go. Gary St. Amant leads him out of turn 4. The green is in the air to begin lap 149. White flag will wave next time by, and St. Amant by 2 car lengths down into 1. Sensiba is 2nd. Gilchrist is 3rd. They've opened up 8 car lengths on Sperling in 4th. Miller is 5th. No change among the top 3. Gilchrist trying to find a little more speed in the 52 car to get back to the point where he was for so long. White flag waving. Last time around the Monster Mile for the ASA this season. Off of 2. No change among the top 3 down the back straightaway. St. Amant watching the mirror. He's up high. Sensiba trying. May not have enough time. Coming through 3 and 4. Gary St. Amant, the 1998 ASA National Champion, will win the first ASA trip to Dover Downs. So St. Amant inherits the lead with 2 to go off the caution. Comes home a winner here at Dover, Delaware, and the wins Chevrolet. What a surprising turn of events here late in the going.
Smiles all around for the wins team. They earned this one today. They kept it clean. They weren't the raciest or the fastest, but for a change, they made it to the finish first.
Gary St. Amant is your winner. Dave Sensiba comes home in second spot. Derek Gilchrist gets credit for third ahead of Brandon Sperling in fourth. We'll come back and talk to the key players in a moment. Our TNN Motorsports coverage today of the Grease Lightning 150 has been brought to you by Grease Lightning Multi-Purpose Degreaser. And by Tecumseh Engines, the power to do things right. And by AC-Delco Automotive Parts. If you're not asking for it, you're asking for it. As mentioned, plenty more ASA stock car action to come here on TNN Motorsports next Sunday from La Crosse, Wisconsin. The AC-Delco Durastop 300, 2 o'clock Eastern and Pacific next Sunday. We'll be live from La Crosse. Looking forward to that to put a cap on a great motorsports weekend. Well, the afternoon's action is complete here at the Monster Mile. A wild finish, 2 cautions in the last 5 laps. Gary St. Amant, who didn't contend all day, inherits the lead with 2 to go on the final restart. Holds off Dave Sensiba and Derek Gilchrist. Brandon Sperling comes home 4th, and look at that. Mike Miller climbs to 5th after all the troubles early in the race. Alec Pincino's career best finish. He grabbed 6th today. Jimmy Johnson, the pole sitter, had tire problems 3 different times. He takes 7th. The 79 of Travis Price, amazingly, is 8th. Then Ricky Johnson and Tristan Dupuis rounding out the top 10s. Talk to the winner. Down to Brian Drebber.
All right, Gary St. Amant has just barely pulled his car into victory lane. Gary, you know, they say it's better to be lucky than good. It's nice to be both.
Oh, no doubt about it, Brian. I'll tell you what, I have to thank the good Lord because he steered me through a couple accidents here today. And, you know, I think this whole Wins crew, I tell you, Bill McGowan, he gave me a great car the whole weekend. And Kenny Schrader, I hope you're sitting home watching it on TV because you told me he's going to be here and you rode with me all day. So just got to thank everyone, Wins, Gainey Transportation, Lane Automotive, Bud Gebbin. You know, he gives us everything it takes to be able to win. And, you know, I'll tell you what, I come here to Dover, and I had my doubts about us coming here. And, you know, to come out of here with a win, it really feels good for the team.
A week ago, there was no way we could have gotten that much happiness out of Gary St. Amant, guys.
Great run for Gary St. Amant. Very consistent, very strong, right where he needed to be when the big money was on the line. Two-way communications equipment for the AC-Delco Challenge Series provided by Racing Electronics, the official communications group of the American Speed Association. ASA action produced for television by Silver Fox Sports in Charlotte, North Carolina. A reminder to dialupcountry.com, our TNN Motorsports webpage, your one site for all things in country and all things in motorsports. For Brian Drebber, for Sandy Hang, Butch Miller, and Jim Trano, I'm Rick Benjamin. See you next Sunday afternoon from La Crosse Fairgrounds Raceway.